Hi guys, it's Blackie. Okay, for quite a while now y'all have been asking me, Blackie, do a video on knife sharpening. So I'm going to do one. I'm going to start a new playlist, and this playlist is going to be called Woodsman Skills. Okay, and into this I'm going to subdivide it into knife work, sharpening. There's going to be tying knots. There's going to be other hands-on skills. Okay, this will become a reference for later on. Whenever somebody says, Blackie, I need to know, I'll have some place to reference it to. Okay, so we're kind of respinning it. We're going to start over, and I have done videos on this in the past. We're going to start right now as if you've never seen one of them, and we're going to go forward. Okay, let us talk about sharpening a knife. Now, a knife being a piece of steel, varying types of steel, varying types of hardness. A knife that is very hard edged holds an edge very well, but is usually brittle. That means if you bear down and twist, it may pop out or break. A knife that is soft is very durable, great for batoning because it will bend rather than break, but it doesn't hold an edge that well. Most knives that you're going to buy are going to be somewhere in the middle. The days of the extremity of being super hard or super soft are about gone, because with modern internet and y'all's ability to do feedback and say, don't ever buy the wing doodle whatever, it's a piece of junk. Or don't buy this, it's hard as all get out, but it breaks if you bear down on it. That word gets out, and so it kind of forces product improvement whether they like it or not. So most of the knives you're going to get are going to be somewhere in the middle in here. It holds an edge fairly well, and it's not that hard to sharpen. Okay? The knife that you buy, price can indicate quality, but is not necessarily the end-all be-all. And I recommend against people that are starting out paying the money for a big fancy custom knife. It will not automatically impart skill to you. At the same time, and I've used this analogy many times before, that you probably have a $700-800 cell phone, which cost more than my first car. But you have the skills and the ability on that cell phone to know what all those apps and everything is, etc. Blackie uses a cheap phone. I don't need all them apps. I don't even have games on mine because I don't need that. I want it to make phone calls. I want it to do text, and I want to be able to shoot a little video with it and upload it. That's all I need. See, so I would be, if it was a knife, like a $40-50 knife, as opposed to some of you that are probably watching this video on a $800, $900, $1,000 cell phone that would be like a true custom handmade knife. Well, if you've got the skills and it warrants it by what you're doing, absolutely go for the best knife you can afford. On the other hand, if you're starting out, you're going to make some mistakes. And so it's better for me to tear up a $30 or $40 knife than it is to tear up a $200 or $300 knife. See my logic? So let's start at a middle of the road. Moras I recommend for a starting knife because they're a good blade for the money. They do very well, and they're replaceable when you screw them up. Okay? A little step up, this is the knife that I used. This was my bushcraft knife up until I got my custom WC knives. And this is a Condor bushlore. A woodslore. It's the Condor. Okay? This is a classic bushcraft type design. Now I want you to notice how it is. You have the spine, which is the back of the blade. You have the main body of the blade, and then it starts this angle. This angle is called the bevel, and it's true on both sides. This is where they're starting with a thick piece of metal, and they're narrowing it down toward the edge. Depending on the grind, this may start here and go all the way to the edge, or it may start here and then right before it gets it, there's another bevel called a secondary bevel. that's down there, and that's the actual edge. That's where they're keeping as much meat as they can getting up there, and then they come down to make a sharp edge. The secondary bevel is fairly short, and this one has one bevel. Okay, so you can see how it goes that way and then it bevels. Okay, how I was taught to sharpen a knife was, you took the knife, you laid it flat onto the stone. Then you'll see there's a little bit of a gap right here at the edge. Okay, put it this way, maybe you can see it a little clearer. I tip the knife up until that edge is touching the stone. Just like that, watch me. See, right there. Okay, now the edge is engaging. That's where I would want to slice it across. So, holding the stone like this for a moment, I would lay it up there flat, rotate it down till it touches, and in maintaining contact, make a long, smooth pull to the tip. I would then reverse, lay it flat, rotate it down till that edge touches, and pull until I get to the tip. Now, let's talk about geometry. And no, this isn't a math idea. Okay? We start out with X thickness blade. We went up and we made the bevel, kind of like you see my hand come up and then go like that, and we made the bevel. Okay? The bevel should be even from both sides. Same amount of metal is taken off, so it's right in the center. If I start sanding off a lot on this side, it does that. And it goes that way. It's no longer in the center. So I want even on both sides of the blade. So what we're going to do is count strokes. Okay? A sliding from the beginning to the tip is one stroke. Turn it upside down. Lay it flat, tip it till it disappears, slide it, keeping it on that edge, constantly on it, one full. Count it every other, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like the stroke and the back stroke. Okay? Instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, you'll lose count. You want to keep it even on both sides. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go full length. Don't do little short pieces. One long. Because what you're trying to do is keep it uniform. If you start getting right here in the middle and you just saw a bunch right here in the middle, well, that edge gets a little thinner and it's a little thicker and you get this wave going up the edge. And that's where people mess up when they're trying to sharpen, is they're not keeping the same angle. And they start like this and they roll the blade up. So they get up here in the start, and then as they do it, see how I'm lifting it up? I'm exaggerating, but don't do that, because what you're doing is you're changing the angle. Maintain it, and it's the same angle. Don't lift the back of the blade up. Same angle, flip. Same angle. Don't, and raise it up, because what you're doing is you're sawing on the edge. So you're going to roll it. Rolling the edge means this. You've done more on one side and that edge tip is rolled over to the other side. And you'll feel it where you put your thumb on the back of the blade and push outward. Never slide down it, never slide along the edge. Push from the back outward, or do like this. Slide out. Never slide up and down. If you do, you'll feel a wiry edge, like feeling the back. There's a little thin edge. That's where the edge is kind of rolled over to one side or the other. Okay? Ideally, you want it smooth on both sides. So let's start with that, and we'll talk about when it gets a little out of whack. Okay? Again, you lay it up there, tip it forward till it gets, and make a nice long. How much pressure? Initially, when you're learning, very little. Let the weight of the blade do it. This is slow, but it's slow to screw up. Okay? After you have done, say 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Take it off. Take the paper towel. Don't cut yourself. Wipe off the edge, and then run your thumb like this. See if there's a wire edge. Turn it over. Come this way. See if there's a wire edge. I always just go straight away. Okay. If you feel a little wire edge, like right there's a little wire edge, it probably means that as you were getting there, you lifted up the back of the blade. Okay. Lay it up there flat. Take about that 1/2 inch right there, and just do a flat like that on the opposite side. So if I have rolled the edge to this side, that's the side, if I feel it on that side, that's the side I put down on the stone, because I'm taking that extra off that I pushed over the top. I want it to stay in the center. Okay, that's my edge, down the center. Now, lubrication. The stones will become dirty, as you can see that dark streak in the middle of that. These are carbon and steel grains, we'll call it, that come off of the blade and go into nooks and crannies in the stone. To a minor point, they're good. They act like superfine sandpaper, to help polish an edge. But if they build up too much, it becomes like a sandy road where you're not actually sanding it anymore. It's just kind of rolling, like imagine rolling it over like boulders. It's no longer letting the stone do the work, so you got to clean it. So there are oil stones and there are water stones. This is a water stone. Okay, all the stones you can use water or oil. It just one's really better than the other, but for the sake of the argument, when you buy it, if it doesn't say anything differently, assume it's a water stone. Okay, because putting oil on a water stone, it clogs up. So just assume it's water. Get you a little tub or tray, and what I carry is just get a small like kitchen container like you'd put leftovers in, and I put my sharpening stones in it, and I can fill that full of water. You know, it ain't got to be hot water, just plain old water, and let them soak for 15-20 minutes before you start sharpening. They'll soak it up like a sponge. And what this water is going to do is A, act as a lubrication, 2, assist in polishing, because that fine grain that's coming off as you're doing is going to act like steel wool or superfine sandpaper and polish that edge to make it even better. Okay, so that's what we want. Now, different hardnesses of stone. So you're going to have a coarse, medium, and a fine. If the knife is already sharp, so to speak, it's just not sharp enough, don't start with the coarse. Take the medium and do like 10 strokes. Check it. Does it feel good? Okay. Then go to the fine stone. Do 10 strokes. Check it and see where you're at. How to know when to go to the next one? That's going to be by feel and sound. But what I'm going to tell you is this. When you get up here on the stone, and you do like I said, you lay it down and you slide it. Initially it's kind of resistant. You'll feel it kind of grab you a little. And that's the coarseness grabbing it. After say 10 strokes, might even be 3 or 4, you'll just know it's like it gets slicker. You just tell it's less resistance. Okay? That means the edge has got kind of polished and that dry draggy is going away and it's actually getting smooth. The sound will change as well. It'll be more of a coarse. Okay, see if I can do this with the back of the edge. Listen, this is a sharpened edge. This is an unsharpened back. Edge, back. Hear that louder, higher kind of pitch? The more the steel is grabbing, the higher the pitch, and it will get quieter as it gets polished. So that's an indicator. Less resistance, and it gets a little quieter. When it does, clean the blade off with a paper towel is good, and go to the next up stone. After I have done that, same process, back and forth. And I've got it to where I want it to be. I check it. You know, is it smooth? Is it even? Okay. Oh dang, I missed that spot right there. Okay, if I've got that little tip right there and I just didn't, yes, I can come back and do just the tip on it. Put it up there and just do the tip. Okay. Now once I've got it, good. How'd I know it's good, Blackie? I can't seem to tell. Okay. Wipe it clean. Take a piece of paper. Okay. And you're going to put it in it and you're going to draw down the paper. If it tears it, like slice, tear, slice, tear, slice, tear, then you've got a wavy edge. You need to refine your technique and be very smooth and even. Go back and this time bear down a little bit more and make nice, slow. We're not in a hurry. We're building hand skill. We're building eye skill. Learning to listen. Nice, even, long. Just bear down a little harder. Okay? I recommend that you put the stone down on something that doesn't slide around. Don't let the stone move. Don't have your hand anywhere near it if you can. They got things that clamp onto them and lock them. If you can get one of those, do. If not, find a rubbery mat, something that you can hook it down in some way, hold it in place on something. Nothing else, get a bigger board and glue it to it. Put some glue on the back of it and glue it to a bigger block, and where I can put my fingers over here and hold the block and be well aware of that, because this is showing expert, this is showing experience. My fingertips stick up just above that edge, so I would have to stop. If I went whack, I'm going to hit my fingertips. Ask me how I know. So you have to be in control this whole time. Notice I start up here, and I want my tip to end well before that end. Same thing, I start on that end, and I want my tip to end before this end. Okay, so a long stone is better than a short stone. Okay? Now I've got my knife sharp. Okay? A diamond hone and things like that. Let me get one, I'll show you right quick. Okay. Paper slicing. I like the little notebooks that's got the ring binder on it. When I get one of them notebooks I use for notes to go to the store, oh I need milk and etc. I save them, I don't tear the pages out. Okay. I save it. When that little book gets full, it gets thrown in the knife sharpening box because I use the paper to cut up and do this. Because it's thin little paper. Holding it like this, I should be able to come out here and pull on it, and it should slice without crumpling the paper. See, just like that. Now this is a good working edge for woodscraft. This is not a razor. This is just a good sharp edge. The edge is not terribly thin, and so it's therefore not very fragile. But like that, see, I can slice it and I'm not crumping up the paper. Now, a hone. And I got this one as a gift not long ago. Get my eyes on. It's called a work sharp. Right there, it says work sharp. Okay, it has a coarse and a fine diamond hone. All this is a piece of aluminum that's had diamond dust impregnated into it, so it's kind of like sandpaper. You have a ceramic rod right here, and you can turn this rod for grooved or whatever, for grooved blades and etc. Serrated. And there's a small hard glass type hone right there. And then there's a leather strop right here. So this is a good all-around have it type thing. This is something you could use. Notice it's got these big blocks and they're at an angle. Okay? That means that when I sit the knife up there on that block at that angle is about where I need to be to sharpen. See? keeping it at that angle as I sharpen. Now, a diamond hone is a whole lot harder than steel. So you don't want to use this a lot because it eats up a lot of metal. So if I only use it to sharpen my knife over and over again, you're eating away the edge fairly quickly, okay? We want to create an edge, get it sharp, and then after that we hone it rather than sharpen it. That means polish it. And that's what this leather is right here, this green polishing compound on it. You draw it backwards against that, and that fine rouge on there acts like super fine polishing compound. Now if you want to get fancy and you've got some old Crest toothpaste is about 9,000 grit polishing compound. I have taken and polished the edge of a knife after I've got it sharp doing this with Crest toothpaste on an old piece of leather. An old belt works good for this. Okay? Now, the whole process is this. You take your steel, you get your stone, whatever stones you're going to get, and I'm going to show you a setup in just a second for those of you that are kind of worried about holding angles. Okay? You're going to get them, you're going to get them wet, you're going to set up your station to use it, set it down, get your fingers out of the way, you're going to lay it up there, tip it forward till the edge disappears, slide it full length, flip it, do the same thing, return stroke, always do an even number of 1, 2, 3, it's always both sides, a forward and a back. Don't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and you flip it. And that edge starts doing this. And you get all the way off, then you got to take it all the way back to 0 to start over. But if you've got an edge, it held an edge, it was sharp, but now me doing stuff, it's got a little dull. Okay? How do I know my knife is getting dull? You're using it, it gets where you got to bear down harder to get it to cut. Remember how I told you to run your finger from the back side? Feel and see if the edge is rolled. If the edge is not rolled and it's just not cutting as well, that's when you want to bring out your pocket sharpener or whatever and just do like 5 strokes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wipe the edge off and feel of it. Is it a little sharper? I like a knife that holds an edge well, but is easy to sharpen in the field, because usually about the time my knife is getting dull, I need a break anyway. My hands are getting tired, my eyes are getting tired. I've been sitting here, carving whatever this stuff for the last 25 minutes, and now my blade is getting a little bit dull. It's time to back off. Okay, take a breather. Bring out your pocket sharpener like a diamond hone, and it's a hone again. That means all we're doing is polishing an already sharp knife, bringing that edge back up. Okay? It's not as shiny, so to speak. It's been cutting, and it's got a tad dull. It's not truly dull, it's just a little bit dull. I bring out that pocket sharpener and just do like 5 strokes and see if that brought it back up. Okay? You sharpen a knife once and you hone it forever. I'm not removing that much metal. I'm just polishing that edge. Okay? And therefore I keep the knife in it. You carry the feel, something to hone with. Like on this, I've got the fine, the coarse, and this strop up here. If I go to, it's still sharp, it's just, I go to the fine. Don't even go to the coarse. Go to the fine and do 5 strokes. Okay? And that will hone it back up and get it back in there. See what I'm saying? You never let it go dull. If it does go dull, you go to your coarser stone and you come back up. Like I said, step by step. But realize you're removing metal. And so there's only so many sharpenings in a blade before you wore it down. See, that bevel up there is kind of at a set depth. As you wear this edge off, it becomes more and more blunt. And now you got to cut a new bevel to get it. And so this bevel gets wider and wider. That line comes up here. as that edge wears out. Now, how long until an edge wears out? How much are you using it? The average person today will never ever wear out a pocket knife or never ever wear out a bushcraft knife. However, I can say I have worn out 5 or 6 pocket knives. I have. I've worn them down to where you couldn't sharpen the blade anymore. The temper was gone. I got so far up in there because I used them so much and had to sharpen them so much. It was a tool, okay? But a knife can do that. Now, for those of you that have worried about, I don't know if I can hold the angle or whatever, Blackie, you can do this. For like 30-something bucks on eBay, I bought a set. Now what this is a clamp, I'm going to show you set up in a minute, and a guide that holds it and lets it hold the knife steady so you can do right with the stones. Let me set it up on the bench right quick and I'll show you. Okay, it's got a clamp on it. You tighten it up and put it securely on the bench so it doesn't move around. And then up here in the front, you've got a clamp that allows you to put the knife in, and there's a stop, a place that the blade actually goes in and stops to. You want to make sure the edge is relatively straight, and then you tighten this up and you can just push this lever up so that it pinches it, okay? But I'm going to be able to flip it quickly by all I got to do is just pull that lever down. I can pull the knife off and stick it right back in the other way and then pinch it again by lifting that flap up, okay? Now up here you have an adjustable rod, and what this is you loosen this wing nut, and there's a collar in here that I can slide up and down this rod, and then I have a guide. Now if you're going to have the guide on top or the bottom, remember, okay, because it changes the angles. And then you have this long rod right here, and this long rod has a pair of clamps that you take the stones of the different kinds that come with it, and this one came with like 8, I think, and you will lock the stones in because they got dovetails. Now you take this, and I'm going to put this guide hole to the top, and I put this rod in. Okay, now you can adjust this up or down to make this angle right here. So what I did was I set it up just like you see here. I set it here, and then I loosened this and I slid this down until this stone was just on the very edge, so that whenever I take it and pull back, and I'm going to pull back, let me move me for a second, get a better angle because of that handle. Okay, I'm going to slide this wetted stone, and I'm going to pull down, pull down and go all the way to the tip. Go back, pull down, get right there, pull down, go all the way to the tip. Put that down, it's in the way. Alright, pull down, go all the way to the tip. And I'm going to do this 5 times. Then I'm going to set this out of the way. I'm going to flip that clamp, turn the knife over, stick it back in, having about the same amount on both sides, whatever I'd had. If I had about a 1/4 inch gap here, I'll put a 1/4 inch gap there when I flip it. So the knife is in the relatively same position. Clamp it back down. Now I hit it, and I am going the full length of it. Now what did I just do? Pull it, okay. Put it up there, sit down, and just pull it as I slide it in. Act like you're trying to shine up just that edge, okay? Now, of course, I should have water on this. I don't have. I'm just showing it as a demonstration. Let's say I do 5, just like that, and then I'm going to turn it over and do 5. This holds the knife steady, where I don't have to worry about my hands twisting. This will guarantee that it's the same angle every time, as long as I don't move this. And as long as I remember to keep that either on top or bottom, you know, because that would change the angle if this flipped down or bit up, but I'm going to keep it up on the top. I can do this as many strokes as I need to. So I do, let's say 10 this way. Then I flip the knife over, keeping that same gap right here, just like that, and then I pull that tab up, and it clamps it good and tight. And I would come back the same way, do 10 this way. So this long rod keeps me in angle all the time. It's the same every time. Now I can have two stones on here. I could have one and the next one, so I could do so many and I could flip it over and do the other one. See, but by doing that, this rig was like $30-something off of eBay, and it came with a case and a whole bunch of stones with it. You know, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but if you're learning, it would be a way to be more consistent. If doing it by hand just isn't working for you, or you just don't seem to have the hand coordination, this mechanical device may be the way to go for you. So, whatever knife you have, whether it's an expensive custom or it's a $29, $30 whatever bushcraft knife, that's fine. The skill is the same. Learning the skill of laying the blade up, have a proper stone that's prepared, either with oil or water, depending on whatever's best for it. 2, laying it up there and getting the basic line. Lay it flat, tip it forward to the edge disappears, and make nice, long, even. That's the secret. Even strokes. If you don't seem to be able to keep the hands and eyes working, then one of these devices may be the way to go for you, because it helps you hold it in a given position so you can get it there. Okay? Now what happens when you get one that's just like it's just not anything? I just can't seem to get it to work. Okay? Go to the coarsest stone. Clean it up, do it right. Do 20 strokes on one side, 20 strokes on the other side. Then go to the next stone. 10 strokes on one side, 10 strokes on the other side. Go to the next finest stone. 10 strokes on this side, 10 strokes on that, and you will just cut a new bevel from beginning to end and get it there. You know, I've had to do that. I've had knives that people have given me to go, I just can't sharpen this thing, and they've given it to me, and I've had to take a file to it, to take all the waves out of it where they had butchered it on the stone forever trying to sharpen it. And you'd get up there in a real bright light and do like that, and you'd see shiny spots. If you coming straight down on top of the sharp edge on a real bright light and you slowly turn it, you shouldn't be able to see the edge. If you see shiny spots, that's blunt areas or areas that's bent or whatever, and that'd be an indicator to you. Another trick is to take the knife and take a magic marker and just coat the very edge on both sides. Let it dry. Fan it a minute, let it dry. Now start making strokes and see that you're wiping it off evenly. If it wipes off and there's these waves in it, that tells you your edge is a little wavy and you need to go more aggressive till that disappears. Disappears, clean it up, put another thing on it, put it up there, and in 10 strokes it should be completely gone. That means my edges are even and not wavy. Okay? I hope this answers your basic questions, guys. Please leave any more comments or questions down here and I will try to address them in a future video. Knife sharpening is a skill. You learn this skill, then you can adapt it to sharpen pocket knives, machetes, kukris, axes. It's the same idea, just slightly different technique. How blunt it is like an axe or how thin it is like a straight razor. Same skill, you just adapt it. Thank you very much for watching my video, guys. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button before you go, and subscribe too if you haven't. I'd really appreciate it. Till next time, guys, I'm Blackie wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.